Back when I was in my early 20s, I used to live at the student residence away from my family. I didn't really go out much. I usually just slammed beer.
Did this dude just say early 20s? Late 30s at least, bro. Look at this. Look at this. Hairline was receding at birth. At birth. Dang. Like, yeah. Zoom in. Do that little Vegeta reference. See that?
Beers and watch TV on the couch by myself. Occasionally my roommate Brad would join me, but most nights I was alone. Then one summer night, I was chugging down some beers and watching sports when Brad came to join me.
Hey, not to be on you too much, but look at this. Why is your neck wider than your torso?
After talking about the game for a bit, he suddenly asked me if I had heard of the Charlie channel.
Bro, is this Meat Canyon or something? Look. This definitely was made by true horror stories animated. This look like Meat Canyon. They look like twins.
Questions. Charlie, are you there? The pencil slowly moved over to the yes. We both looked at each other in awe. Neither of us could believe it was actually working. Charlie, can I play? Charlie, can I play? The pencil pointed towards yes for both of us. Now we could really begin. We started asking random questions, whatever happened to come to mind. Will I become a millionaire? Should I ask Stacy out? It started out really exciting. We watched the pencil move back and forth between the yes and the no as we asked it more and more questions. But after a few minutes, we started to run out of things to say. Then, I suddenly got an idea for a question I could ask. Is Brad going to die?
Hey. Just know. It's over with. No, it's over with.
I thought it was just a funny joke, but Brad immediately blew up after that.
Why the hell would you say
Crash
that,
out.
idiot?
Crash out.
What the hell's the matter with you?
Dude, it was just a joke, man.
You think that's funny? You're crazy.
Then out of nowhere,
That's not funny.
he grabbed me by my collar and completely snapped. I kept trying to tell him I was only kidding, but he wouldn't calm down. Challenge. Apparently, it had been circulating the internet for a while. Brad explained that it was basically just a poor man's Ouija board. Instead of having to buy a whole board for it, you just use pencils and paper. So, wanna play? I decided that it couldn't hurt to give it a try.
Wanna play?
Yeah, let's do it. I felt a little uneasy and nervous after I agreed, but I was still intrigued. So, after a few more beers and small talk, the game finally ended, and we started to set up. We turned off the TV and lit a few candles. Then we got a piece of paper and wrote yes and no with a crisscross in between. After grabbing 2 pencils and placing them on the paper, we were done. As we sat down from across each other, the house was pitch black as we sat there and began asking.
Bro, this is like that on the shows when they be having that one zoom in when a character about to go crazy. And like it's zoomed in on one eye and the other eye just looks deformed.
Then we saw the pencil point to yes. And that only made Brad go even more crazy.
You're such a pathetic freak, you little shit. Let's see how you like it.
Brad then asked Charlie if I would die, but the pencil pointed towards no, and he completely freaked out. He began banging on the table. Then he swiped the paper and pencils off in a rage. Finally, he flipped the whole table over and stormed off to his room. I tried to apologize, but Brad slammed the door in my face and told me to go to hell. I figured there was nothing else I could do, so I cleaned up the mess and went to my room to go to bed. I didn't understand why Brad would be so upset over a silly little game. I was sure Brad would cool off in the morning. After I calmed.
Why is his bed so big? It's like a king 2 times. Like 4 people could fit right here in the edge, or 5. Really squeeze. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Down a bit, I went to sleep. Later that night, I was awakened by a thud. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but then I heard it again and again. It happened repeatedly. I checked the time and saw it was very late. I was confused. I had no idea what could be making that noise. Brad had never been up this late before, but he was the only other person there. I decided to get to the bottom of it, so I got out of bed and headed out into the hallway. It was pitch black. I was scared as hell. The last thing I wanted to do was walk further into the darkness, but the thud kept coming. After a few seconds of standing out in the hallway,
Oh, bro, you gotta hear. You look like you about to sneeze. That face you make before you sneeze. But this I would just stay in my room, lock the door, put 200-pound weights behind my door, put everything I can behind my door.
listening, I realized that the sound was definitely coming from Brad's room. I was still confused, but I walked over to Brad's room and pressed my ear to the door.
Don't do that. 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 Don't do that.
I heard the thud sounds even clearer then. He had to be doing something in there. I slowly reached out my hand and knocked on the door. Brad, you okay? Slowly reached out my hand and knocked on the door. Brad?
Okay. Bro, I thought that was like.
He didn't answer. All I could hear was the same thudding. Brad? I tried to open the door, and surprisingly it was unlocked.
Okay. I don't.
I immediately
Yell as loud as he can. He's, bruh, running. Watch him trip over some air. Watch him trip over an ant. He gonna trip over something.
towards the living room.
Watch.
As I ran, I tripped over a pencil on the floor.
A pencil?
Fell over. Then I started wailing after that.
No! Oh God, no! No!
Get up, bro. Sound like your ankle twisted. Look like you don't got no ankle, but still, it's not like your ankle's. Dang. Your foot, wider than your wrist. Or your hands like this. Salad fingers, bro.
I went completely psycho and began crying like a maniac. I couldn't believe it. All that kept going through my head was that it was my fault. I had asked if he was going to die, and now it had happened. I laid there on the floor for several minutes, screaming and crying. Then, I finally stopped and looked over towards Brad's room. The thudding had stopped, but that was somehow even scarier than what I had just seen. Brad, hello? All of a sudden.
Nope. What is that? What is that? Nope.
Psychodemonic Brad came charging out of the room.
No way. Ain't no way. Hey, just.
The story
That's a
was
thumbnail.
inspired by a disturbing article involving a 20-year-old. who allegedly
Hey, y'all
died
can
in
listen.
Al-Baida City
Y'all can listen to this. Y'all got that.
in eastern Libya, as portrayed in the video. According to medical sources, the victim was brought to the Thora hospital in the city. Authorities in the eastern city have announced their investigation into 2 surviving cases, and the families of the dead have suggested that there's an association between the Charlie Charlie game and the cases, citing that the game may have made the victims do quote-unquote conjuring activities. The eastern authorities of Al-Baida slammed a ban on the Charlie Charlie game as a result. However, after going viral on social media, the investigation seemed weak in the eyes of the public, which made authorities announce that they are still investigating more into the issue.
Thank you. Nope.